Hi there. This video is about how the tightness uh, manifests in our body, in which principal direction, and how it creates the set, the C set curvature or the hunch, be it at the lumbar area, a slouch. You slouch when you sit, don't sit upright. And also if you slouch here, at the cervical vertebrae, the neck is just drooping down, hanging out like a cantilever, creating a lot of imbalance, misalignment to your entire skeletal structure, and it has to be compensated for by more tension perhaps at the glutes, your gluteal muscles, buttocks, they clench, and then they pull the spine to keep it upright, and if there's cantilever up front, the head is drooping down like this, it has to clench harder. So all kinds of things. Okay, so this is going to be very interesting because earlier on I did one video at the beginning, not in this series, but I think about healing the lower back, where we have the compression of the spine. The spinal column is heavy, it's a lot of bones and everything crushing down on the pelvis. So I talked about folding it onto so that when you bring your chest to your knees, it comes together nicely, nice fold together. And if you don't fold it together, what happens is that you can actually arch down, the folding didn't happen. The folding that's supposed to happen didn't happen. Let's see how I should show it. It didn't happen. But what happened was, this is not folded. It is slouched like this. And then you bend your fingers, and your fingers, imagine, are the lumbar. The lumbar are now bending to compensate for the sacrum not bending. So you can actually severely damage your lumbar vertebrae, lumbar 4, lumbar 5, and then you end up with a slipped disc. And so all this is can happen with tightness, and why is it you can't fold down? Why is it that we can't fold down? Fold chest, the torso nicely so that the chest is touching the thighs. It's usually the glutes. We always thought the culprits were the hamstrings, tight hamstrings and all that. Tight hamstrings have to do with straight legs. If your legs have been straightened out and you are folded in a body fold, then if you can't do that, if you can't fold that way with legs straight, then you can say your hamstrings are tight. But if your legs are already, if your knees are already bent, you're already in a kneeling position, or if you're already, you already got most of your, if you already, if the legs are not stretched out, if you already got the knees bent like this, 90 degrees, or even like this in a squatting position, squat. When you squat, it's very good. When people squat, they stretch your glutes. Very good stretch for the glutes. The whole body weight is assisting. Your whole body weight is pressing down, and your glutes are forced to stretch. And when that happens, if you want to do after that is it becomes part of you. Every day you squat for a few minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour, I don't know. But it gives a lot of flexibility to your to the hip area. So when you do that, folding of the sacrum becomes a lot easier, really a lot easier. Because at the end, even the tummy area, the lower belly, where your groin is, where the urinary bladder, the adrenals, very important glands, fear, So you get those things to relax, and then you just drop down. And if you're in the child posture, it just drops down, and then it's really nice, feels really good. And if you're on the bench, because you are not doing the child posture, everything will just drop down on the bench, like what I showed in the video, healing the lower back. I'll just drop down. and the glutes have already released their tension, so it allows you to pull down nicely without the lumbar bending, that much. If your sacrum, you can't fold your hips, you can't fold anything, then the lumbar has to compensate. The lumbar bends, and lumbar is a lot weaker. It's just one round column of bones. So that will break if you keep on bending it like this, like a C shape kind of thing, just to bend down instead of the hips letting go, the glutes relaxing, and then you're able to bend down. If you can't bend down your legs straight, it just means you have tight hamstrings. But if you bend your knees and then you can bend down, glutes. Yeah. So glutes are very important. So squatting is really the essence. Everybody should squat every day. So kudos for the squatting toilet. Okay. Now let's see. Yeah, we also said tightness. Also, the legs are full of tightness. Yeah, from the hips it goes down to the thighs, to the feet, everything. And the reason is that we say spinal column is heavy. It rests on the sacrum rests on the pelvic bones. With the full weight of the spinal column. But then what is the? Then ask yourself, what are the legs? What are the feet? What weight are they taking? The weight of the entire body. And that's even more, So the feet are taking even the weight of the thighs and the calves and the lower legs, So the feet are really, really under a lot of pressure. So when you have foot problems because of bad fitting shoes or worn out shoes, can be for any reason. And if you have a lot of misalignment, your feet suffer. The feet really suffer. It has to compensate with a lot of tightness. Bone crushing tightness, literally, And one very strong, of course, tendon down there is the Achilles tendon that lifts up your body, lifts up the heels when you using the ball of the foot as the pivot, and the heel comes up. Heel is the palm, it comes up. A lot of weight. It has to be very strong. And when that is pulling with a lot of force, anything else further downstream, that means at the metatarsals, I think tarsals, not carpals. Carpals are for the hands, tarsals are for the feet. I'm not sure, but those little bones, that make up the feet, foot arch, and all that up to the toes. Those things, they have to be aligned, or they will show up the misalignment, that is subsequently transmitted down to the feet. So your feet, they bear the brunt of all this. So if you really want to if alignment is very important in your life, you got to do one favor for yourself. You should make sure you wear flat shoes. Yeah, or go barefoot as much as you can. Even when you run, if you could run around like a cat, with landing on the ball of the foot, so that you're activating all the shock absorbers in your legs. Your legs are if you wear those running shoes that are very spongy and very soft, you can slam down on your heel when you run down, and when you come down, the whole body comes down and you slam down on the heel. You won't feel it because of the shoes. The shoes, they absorb some impact. But that way of running, you actually bring shock waves up to your knees and to your hips. So if you land on the ball of your foot, you can run very slowly at first, and you can try it. You will realize that your body is being propped up, by the muscles. The muscles that actually can slowly cushion your descent, and the heel can then even come down very gently. So you don't wear shoes, you don't feel uncomfortable. Everything is just great. And the shock absorber that does that is the one on the calf. You see this one here, that's to lift up your heel. That's to lift up the heel. Achilles is over here. But this one over here, I forgot the biological name for this, the medical name. This one does this. This one does this. it pulls, when it contracts, it lifts up your feet, see? And this one, when it lets go slowly, is your shock absorber. Also, yeah, more or less. So if that muscle is atrophied, then you find that when you run, you just slam down the heels. And if you're wearing shoes, fine, maybe you get away with it. But if you're going barefoot, then you will feel it. You will not want to run. So it's always good to keep to maintain a good gait when you're running, and also to walking as well, and also to make sure that your feet can spread out itself onto the ground, like spreading out like that, so that everything is, you have 3-point contact, or I don't know how many point contact, but the more flexible your feet are, and the stronger you'll be. You can grip, you have good grip. And if you look at some old people, those who are really old already and they are hobbling around, if they were not wearing shoes and you looked at their feet, the toes are all curled up. The nerves have somehow pulled, and the whole thing is like, instead of like this, toes should just spread out. It's like this. The nerves are just too tight. Everything is pulling, and when it's like this, the whole foot is hardened like a frozen piece of meat, and no flexibility, and also no grip, so you fall easily. So somehow we have to make sure that there's a lot of slack in our hips, and also upper body too, because you look carefully, if you put one foot on the table, and then you just lift it up, if your hamstring is tight, or if you can't do it, knees are straight, of course, you will find that you curl up in a ball. You start curling your chest and everything. You compensate for it. You do the jala, and then your head goes down, chin goes into your chest, and then your whole torso starts to curl up like a C, just to make up for it, because you're now trying to lift up one leg and putting it up maybe 3 feet high on a table, or on a rail, on a railing, or on a wall, 3 to 4 feet high. The moment you start doing that, if you don't have hamstrings and glutes that are loose enough, your whole upper body will just curl up to compensate for the tension in the nerves. What? I don't know. I'm not so sure what's inside there, but possibly nerves. So it just goes. So yeah. So anyway, going back to the topic of this video, we were talking about, I think I went one big round. I talk about, we're talking about slip disc, right? Okay, yeah. So how does a slip disc happen? And then why is it that we always hunch, to the front? Well, the reason is because the construction of our skeletal system is such that the spine is actually at the back, it's called the backbone. And the front part is full of more meat. You have the belly, except at the rib cage. You have a rib cage here, okay, and sternum, thymus behind it, and then over here is all meat, and then the backbone is really at the back, really at the back. And besides being at the back, the vertebrae, they have those kinds of like wing-like things, like pieces of bone, pieces of bone, hard, but they look like wings. And they are also at the back. They don't jut out to the front. They let's say this is the vertebra. I don't know how to construct this like this. Then let's say it's got some wings at the back. Maybe one here, at the back. So this is the front part. This the anterior, and this is the posterior, and then you got those two things like wings sticking out, structures, sticking out. Don't know what to call it biologically, but so that will be the back. That's the back. That's the front. So when the backbone is bending, chances is that all these things will prevent it from really bending too much in this direction at the back. So it's going to bend more easily to the front instead of to the back. Just like even here, this hinge joint here, it doesn't really allow you to bend too much that way, but you can bend easily this way. So the same thing with the back, you can bend this way more, and this way maybe a bit less. But at the thorax area where your rib cage is, of course, it's even more limited because you don't want to destroy the smaller bones of the ribs. But below the rib cage, at the lumbar, you can actually bend a lot more. You see, look at those contortionists or those gymnasts who are doing back bends. Very impressive. But the bending, you look carefully, is at the lumbar area. It's not in the rib cage. Rib cage, of course, is flexing it nicely in the arch, gentle arch, but it's not doing a tremendous bend. To bend until your hands can touch your. You can grab your ankles down there. If you want to do that kind of bend, you look at all those people. They are bending. Most of the bending is happening at the lumbar, where there's no rib cage. It's just belly there, and then they can somehow get that bend. Okay, so now back to slip disc. So we know that we were more prone to bend forward. We're not going to go backwards. And when you bend forward, it also makes sense why we bend forward, because since it's heavy here and it's collapsing, it's soft tissue. Yeah, it has to collapse that way. Not against the hard bone there, so you just fall to the front. And sometimes some emotions make us even more prone to get into that kind of posture. For example, if you're afraid, then you cower in fear, you curl down. Or if you're not feeling open-hearted, or you feel a bit excluded, you feel alone, desolate in your own world, you will also tend to look down. You will not be looking up, hey, hi, hi everybody. You won't expand your chest and reach out, with that kind of push forward. You would just collapse down your rib cage, or if you are sad, you breathe in a very shallow way, and then take small little breaths of air, and the whole rib cage collapses. You're sad. So a lot of negative emotions actually help to reinforce this kind of posture. And even if you have it's like that. It's almost psychosomatic. What goes in here then is reflected in the body. So we know it's going to fall forward. Okay, now if it falls forward or it bends forward, then why do they say that you have pain when you have a slip disc? If there's no pain, nobody will worry about slip disc. Yeah, but there's a pain. The pain is people describe it as a blinding pain of very sharp, piercing pain that just strikes you. And it's because something is pinching against the nerve. And where's the nerve? If you look at it, look up some drawings of the spine, in the internet, and it shows that the nerves. Okay, you have the spinal nerve inside, maybe, but on the side, outside the vertebrae, running near those wing-like structures, just sitting somewhere there at the back, are the nerves, are some nerves. So for sure, when you have a slip disc, the herniated disc, hernia means something then pops out. It pokes into the nerve at the back. So it means that you have been bending forward, you have been forcing the vertebrae to compress this way, and when they compress this way, the back is not compressed, so there's whatever is being squeezed pops out at the back, and that's why it squeezes the nerves at the back. The nerves at the back anyway. So then you have pain, and the nerves don't expect something to pop out because that's very unnatural, and so that's why their nerves are sitting next to the bones, the bony wing-like structures at the back there, and they don't expect a disc to pop out, and then somehow it pops out and it gets them against the wall, against the bone, and then it really hurts, that's how it works. And then you ask yourself, well, why would a disc pop out? Okay, a few years ago, I happened to chance on an article from from China, from Shanghai, and this was a traditional Chinese medicine TCM journal published from the organization in Shanghai, and it showed a very nice diagram. It showed spinal column, lumbar probably, because lower back problem, lumbago, usually lumbar. So stack of vertebrae between the intervertebral discs, which are made of softer material, not as hard as bone, and inside, of course, there's some nucleus or some soft gooey stuff, synovial fluid maybe, I don't know. So soft stuff in between. So when you have a lot of tension and this C-shaped set that we have, where we are collapsing to the front, we are slouching, we are hunching, it pulls, the muscles pull, and it compresses the spine. So when the spine is being compressed, those intervertebral discs also get compressed, because they are the ones who are softer, so they would give way, and the spine actually being compressed shortens. So when its length shortens, what the journals was telling us was, around the spinal column, why is it that the spine is just, even though they are individual pieces of bone, why are they still in one stack, What keeps them there, Somebody must have rolled a piece of paper around them or something like that, right? Okay, actually there's something around the spine, and it's the longitudinal ligament. It's just a fibrous piece of stuff, and it just wraps around the whole stack of individual vertebra. So one by one on top, and then you have this longitudinal ligament. It's giving tension to it like a legging, you wear a legging or something like that. It just holds it there, the varicose veins, and then pushed in, could be. So that kind of thing. So when your spine is under compression, you will find that suddenly this longitudinal ligament, especially the anterior, that's where we are, bending towards, and then creates a lot of slack there, it becomes loose. So this sheath that holds the individual pieces of vertebra together is now becoming loose. Of course, you could say, it could maybe contract and then shrivel up and then become tight again. I think chances of that is just like you're wearing one of those elastic jeans. Some girls, they like to wear elastic jeans so that it doesn't constrict blood flow that much. But if you get really skinny, you become maybe anorexic and you lose all your muscle mass, and then you realize that there's a limit, how much that elastic jeans can. Let's say your muscles all disappear and then you don't have any more meat. At some stage you'll become loose and it's not able to contract anymore, or to just, it has a certain fixed shape at a certain minimum diameter. So the same thing is happening with that sheath that holds our vertebrae together. So if we have enough spinal compression and it shortens the spine, then this ligament or this sheath becomes loose, and its ability then to keep the discs in place becomes compromised. It becomes harder for it to hold things together. Things start to fall apart. Now, tightness here is good because it keeps things together. But if things start to fall apart, and you're squeezing the front, pushing two bones together, the soft disc compresses, and then the back part, which is not being pushed, it pops. It just goes pop, and then you get a hernia, herniated disc, and the nucleus is soft stuff inside protrudes out, and what protrudes, it goes and pushes at that nerve that is back there, then you get that pain. So it's to everybody's benefit and good health, to everybody's well-being, if we stay free of this kind of tension, and we keep our spine with a good posture, and then we will save ourselves a lot of wear and tear, pain, and costs, because medical treatment is very expensive. You got to go for a lot of treatment, physio, and if you know the root cause, and if you know how to slowly strengthen your back, they always say strengthen your back, because when you are slouching, your back atrophies. You're no longer able to straighten out anymore. The muscles that are responsible for straightening your back, they already they're in a permanent stretched position, so they lost their ability to contract, and they don't have that much strength anymore. So the anterior muscles that are now very tight, causing the C shape, the set, in that shape, they are shortened and they are tight. So nothing is pulling against them to lengthen them, to bring back two-way movement, where you can go like this. You can't anymore. It's permanent. So it's a hunch. So when that kind of thing happens, and if you try to make it worse by bending and all that, then that kind of pressure, it destroys your spine. Yeah. So a lot of motivation to get rid of internal tension. And even if you have slipped disc already, if you can get rid of the internal tension, at least it could alleviate the problem. So I hope what I just said and what I have been saying, what I've shared over the last few videos will help, and I hope so. So anyway, good luck, guys, and take care. Cheers. So this is it. Bye.